All right, howdy everyone. The date is November 11th and the time is 8:42 p.m. Welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather, and again another winter scene because what we're talking about today involves winter, and yes, winter is going to be packing a punch as a matter of fact, and we are going to get into all of the information regarding the upcoming Arctic blast and early season Arctic blast, as a matter of fact. That's going to be coming through the area, and then talking about the potential for the first winter storm of the season and some of the snowfall totals that could be associated with that. Make sure to subscribe and stay updated. Make sure to check out our website also, where we have access to all of our other social platforms and the podcast that is being managed by my meteorology class. All right, so let's get into this particular information that we have going down this week. So here's kind of how things are set up with regards to the temperatures at the upper levels of the atmosphere. So the height anomaly, we're looking at the changes in temperature in the upper levels. Again, you have your ridges, which are associated with high pressure systems, and then your troughs, your blue areas that are associated with low pressure systems, indicating the temperatures in the upper levels of the atmosphere are cooler in these particular areas, and the air is cooling up in those general areas where low pressure systems are typically associated. So here's what we have going on with this potential weather event right here. We had really warm air yesterday, and it was temperatures in the 70s, as a matter of fact, and then temperatures today, which is today's Friday, were around maybe 50 degrees. So temperatures are dropping rather quickly, and that is associated with what we have going on in the atmosphere right now, with Arctic air potentially surging down into parts of the continental United States, even as far south as Texas. And we're going to get to how far it's going to surge down momentarily, but let's explain why this is going on. So you can see there's several ridges that are kind of in place up in parts of the Canadian regions and even close to the poles. Pay attention to what happens near Alaska on the North American map here. So you have the ridge that's building in here. You have a deep high pressure system that's really going to build in here, and what that's going to do is that's just going to trap this cold Arctic air here in the continental United States and just keep things nice and cold for pretty much most of the plains areas and then areas to the east of it as well. You're going to see this trough kind of flow into parts of the Great Lakes, this cooler air that's kind of sitting here, and look how deep this ridge builds in across parts of the Canadian area and then Alaska as well. This deep high pressure system is just going to keep this cool air trapped over parts of the United States, and that's going to bring us our cool temperatures for at least 2 weeks, it looks like, according to what some of the long-range models are saying. And then you see this this ridge area start to weaken and this barrier start to weaken, but that's only going to make it much cooler because the polar air mass is still forming up here closer to Greenland, and that is actually going to surge down farther south and bring cooler air along with it as this high pressure still stays in place. So it's going to be quite warm across parts of this general area and then very, very cold across the continental United States. This is a pattern that we don't usually see until later on in the season. It's coming extremely early this year, and I think it might actually be happening a few times this season given the pattern that we are seeing over the past several weeks that we've had. So you have this trough still kind of sticking around even into Monday, November 21st. So that's more than a week where we're going to have these cold temperatures that are going to kind of settle over the area. So then you kind of see things start to maybe warm up by the time we reach Thanksgiving time. But again, looking farther into the long range, we do see that cooler air begin to kind of push its way back into the Great Lakes region as the high pressure system begins to redevelop over Canada. So that's what we're looking at, and with that Arctic air mass that's likely going to surge into the continental United States because of the high pressure in Alaska, we're going to see temperatures as cold as the mid-30s, maybe even low 30s, and at night temperatures could get down in around 20 degrees, maybe even in the teens. We may have some wind chills that reach into the low teens at some point. So Old Man Winter is coming in, and he is charging through that door, all right? So you're going to want to be ready and get your winter preparations made, shut off any outdoor faucets, those types of things. Make sure that you are prepared for what is coming because it's not only going to be the cold air, but snow, as a matter of fact, is on the way as well, particularly if you live close to the lake shore. So let's get into that real quick, exactly what's going to be happening. Before we get to it though, I do want to focus on the temperatures and how they are going to change across the Great Lakes region. So let's get to that map super quick with the Actually, let's take a look at the wind chill so you can get a perspective on how cold it's going to feel. Again, that cold front's moving through. This cold front did produce severe weather or severe looking weather across parts of Iowa. And then Hurricane Nicole is still making its way out of Ohio up to the northeast. Hurricane Nicole did hit Florida on Wednesday and brought about Category 1 intensity winds in that area, left some flooding behind, left some damage. Luckily, it wasn't any stronger than that. But you have this cold front moving through. Look how quickly it cools down. Again, keep in mind that you do see those sub-zero temperatures out there. Keep in mind that we're looking at the wind chills right now. We're not looking at the actual air temperature. So as we progress it forward, you can see that that cool air just continues to surge, and the wind chills look, in fact, to even get colder in areas where the lake isn't influencing the temperature. So you see those temperatures getting as cold as 15 degrees for wind chills by Sunday morning, 7 a.m. in southern Indiana, so even colder than in Michigan. And then you do begin to see it kind of warms up maybe a little bit in some spots, particularly if you live in southern Indiana, but it isn't really going to change too much, especially as we get into later on where we have another cold front that brings this potential for even cooler air to kind of settle over this region. And then it kind of makes a dive down into areas close to Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio by next Sunday. And it looks like even some sub-zero wind chills could be possible in parts of the plains, the Midwest, Minnesota, seeing sub-zero wind chills, and then even making it to parts of near Chicago, as a matter of fact, could see some sub-zero wind chills. But again, we're getting into long range, so we don't want to make that determination just yet. But needless to say, it's going to be cold over the next several days. And then we may see that potential warm up later on by the time we get closer to Thanksgiving. We see temperatures maybe start to get a little bit warmer, thankfully, as we approach Thanksgiving. But winter is going to be coming, and it's going to be sticking around for quite a while and very early, as a matter of fact. So let's take a look at what the potential for snow is across parts of the continental United States. So this is what we kind of have right now. Actually, this is way ahead of where we should be. Let's start at the beginning. Hurricane Nicole, now post-tropical storm Nicole, is making its way up through the eastern parts of the United States. Produced some tornadoes, as a matter of fact, across parts of the eastern seaboard, and it's going to be making its way out, thankfully, by Sunday. But look what's coming in behind it. You can see this snow that is kind of developing, connected with that cold front that's still surging its way into parts of the Great Lakes region. This cold front may actually bring some snow to parts of Indiana and Ohio and even parts of extreme southern lower Michigan. This snowfall is likely to bring maybe around 1 to 3 inches of snowfall. Snowfall is not the same as snow accumulation here. Again, keep in mind the ground temperatures are likely warmer than the air temperatures, so some of that snow may take a little bit before it actually starts to accumulate on lawns, on pavement, things like that. So maybe 1 to 3 inches of snowfall across parts of Indiana and Ohio connected with this. And the real snow for Michigan is going to come after that moves through, because we're going to see northwesterly winds really start to take hold. And as long as we have a 23-degree temperature difference between the surface and 5,000 feet, that's where we're going to see that snow really begin to take off, that lake effect snow begin to take off. And apparently it looks like it's going to take off in parts of Michigan. So you can see that lake effect snow is kind of starting to form in parts of Michigan. You can see that air mass dipping way down into even parts of Tennessee, and snow in the Appalachians as well. So that's going to bring the lake effect snow potential across parts of the Great Lakes region. And then you can see, again, this trough starting to dip down deeper into parts of the plains. And look how far south the snow might get. It may even reach the Texas Panhandle November 14th. Early for this time of year, very early for this time of year to see it that far south. So that snow is really starting to kind of take off. It's going to be fueled by that Gulf moisture. Maybe see some showers and thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast area, and then farther north you see the remaining moisture kind of get lifted off into snow potential. And that snow is likely going to be heavier than the snow that comes on over the weekend. Tuesday and Wednesday looks like a winter storm, especially for Indiana and Ohio, because the snow looks like it's forecasted to spread all across this general area as it begins to taper off that moisture in this area where it's much cooler. And look at those millibars in the upper levels. 516, that's indicating you're going to get some pretty cold air in this area. A lot of sinking air, a lot of cool air connected with this, and you've got that snow that's going to kind of stagnate over the Great Lakes region, especially if you live in Michigan and northern parts of Indiana and Ohio. Looks like it's going to settle in for Wednesday as well. So as we get into Wednesday, you see lake effect snow begin to reform across parts of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, again causing more potential snow accumulations, and the heavy snow continuing off into the New England states. And then this is where the models start to differentiate a little bit in regards to snow, but there does look like the potential for some more snow as we get into the very cold forecasted weekend that is going to come November 19th into November 20th. And it looks like that snow will be rather light, but it does appear that there will be some snow potential with this Arctic air mass that moves in. And as a matter of fact, more brief shots of lake effect snow before that ridge builds back in and warms things up a little bit. So that's the GFS model. Euro model tends to agree with this model mostly. So if we look at it, again, you have that Hurricane Nicole or post-tropical storm moving through. Again, there's that winter storm potential. Get a sounding in southern Indiana as this moves in. And you got that dendritic growth zone. Best guess precip type are going to be sleet and snow. You have dew points right next to temperatures in that dendritic growth zone, likely going to cause a lot of condensation and precipitation in that general area. So definitely a snow setup for this area. It does project that it will be more rain and mixing type of stuff going on with the Euro model, which I tend to be more believe is going to occur more likely. The Euro model does a better job of forecasting winter events, it appears. Then again, similarly, you can see right there the lake effect snow potential that does return on Sunday once again, and then another potential lake winter storm bringing plenty of snow to parts of Michigan and this region once again. So model consistency is starting to get better with this event, but it doesn't show that snow potential with this event, more lake effect snow. But then the model variability comes with this particular snow, quite asking, okay, how much snow is going to occur here, and is there going to be lake effect snow afterwards? So there's a lot of variables at play once we get into the long range beyond Wednesday, but we are sure that there is going to be at least some snow accumulation next week connected with these winter storms. How much? Well, let's look at what the Weather Prediction Center is talking about here with the potential for snow. So you can see this is the forecast of snow accumulating greater than 1 inch, the 24-hour probability. So this is as of this is actually showing as of Sunday what could potentially be occurring, or no, Sunday at 0Z, which actually refers to 7 p.m. Saturday. So probability of snow accumulating in the peninsula is pretty high, and then in this general area it doesn't look as high, but because remember we're talking about snowfall, because the ground temperatures are going to be still really warm, probably won't be able to have that major amount of snow accumulation that we would see. So you can see all of that potential across parts of the Great Lakes region. As we progress it forward, the numbers tend to rise some, and you can see that there's actually a better probability of snow greater than 1 inch accumulating, where those lake effect snow bands come together across parts of the Great Lakes. Again, that lake effect snow potential continuing through Tuesday, and then we start to see that winter storm potential start to filter in, which is more in the long range. So there is likely going to be snow accumulations anywhere where you see highlighted areas, that particularly when they're in blue and red. So be prepared for snow if you see your area shown in this particular graphic here. All right, let's look at the long range now. And this shows the long range, what we could see on Tuesday, where people could see snow. 30-50% chance of snow accumulations in parts of Oklahoma. And then as we get into the general time of Wednesday, you see a chance of snow 10 to 30% exceeding 0.25 inches of liquid, which again, keep in mind that an inch of rain is equivalent to 10 inches of snow. So 0.25 inches of liquid or precipitation would be comparable to 2.5 inches of snow potentially. But again, keep in mind that the surface temperatures may not allow accumulation to occur in significant amounts. So let's look at a more specific idea of how much snow we could potentially see. So this is the current time, the latest updated according to the Euro model. Again, that first snowstorm that could potentially move through may bring about 1 to 3 inches, maybe isolated amounts of 4 inches along areas south of Indianapolis between the Ohio River, Indianapolis, and then getting up into Dayton, Van Wert, Troy, those types of areas could see the potential for some snow. Snowfall, not snow accumulations just yet. We want to keep in mind that surface temperatures, once again, may be warmer. So that is what is for Sunday, and then as we go forward, you can see that lake effect snow really starting to come up and be put together. 1 to 3 inches of snow close to the lake shore, and then as we get farther out into the mainland of Michigan, you don't really see as much snow accumulation in that area, unless you're in the Upper Peninsula, where those snow bands will really start to become together in that general area. So potential isolated amounts of 6 inches in that general area as well. Let's look at that when that winter storm begins to come in. You can see those bands really starting to settle up, and the snow really start to begin to accumulate. And you can see that it's likely to dump a widespread 1 to 3 inches across much of the Michigan area and then northern Indiana as well. Then the lake effect snow machine takes off again. And when that takes off again, you see snow accumulations begin to increase by Thursday. Total snowfall from now to Thursday could even reach parts of around 7 inches across the lake shore of Lake Michigan, Berrien, Cass, Van Buren counties, and then as you get into St. Joe and Kalamazoo counties, snowfall of up to 5 inches. So looking like quite a bit of snow. The question is, how much is it actually going to stick? And then as we go further, getting into the long range, I want to be careful making this judgment, but it does show lake effect really taking off and dumping even more snow by the weekend with that polar air mass that's moving in. But we want to wait to make that judgment that 15 inches is a lot. We don't really want to go that far just yet. Okay, so that's long range. Again, these models tend to minimize the snow amounts as we get closer to it. GFS showing similar scenario with snow accumulations with lake effect. It's showing them a bit farther southeast, around 2 inches. It looks like the accumulations could spread further, and then it shows a more liberal amount of snow, as the GFS usually does, with the snow that will accumulate over the passage of time. Now, I don't think there's going to be that much snow on the ground again, but again, we're just going to have to wait to see how the models project this event over the next week. But winter is coming in, and it is coming in hard. That is just the thing that is needless to say at this moment after watching this video, and hopefully this made you aware of it and that you can get prepared for it before it begins to make its angry entry into the Great Lakes region. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our website to get connected to all of our social media platforms. And stay warm, and I will see you all at the next needed opportunity.